And I'm
Exactly.
don't even get me started on jogging up a hill with the thickest lace front wigs I ever saw in my life. The lace fronts were thick. Do you hear me? Welcome to the Margins to Movies podcast, where we talk books, movies, and everything in between. For today's show, we read and watched a book adaptation to answer that age old burning question: which is better, the book or the movie? We're your hosts, your favorite internet bookworms. I'm Nita Key,
And I'm Della B.
and we are gathered here today to discuss, drumroll please. You already see it, it's in the title. Eric Jerome Dickey's Friends and Lovers. So,
Yay.
so excited to get into this discussion today.
Yes.
Della, how you doing?
I'm doing good, girl. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I am very, very excited that we are bringing our love for reading, and our passion for discussing the books that we read to our corner of the internet that we're carrying over from our actual book club. Okay. So
Actually,
you don't know this, but Della and I are in a book club together
yes, we are.
in real life. And we recently just met and we had a wonderful meeting. Okay.
And
The
wonderful
Beautiful and
food.
Blessed Sisters book club.
Beautiful and blessed. That's the name of our club. Beautiful and
Yeah.
blessed.
Beautiful and blessed sisters. What's it called?
Fabulous and blessed sisters, girl.
Yes. Yes. Like it.
But I like that name, beautiful and blessed.
Yeah. Oh, don't look at my nails when you clock it. Very good. Yes, Fabulous and Blessed Sisters Book
That's us.
Club.
Fabulous
Yeah,
and
we're about
blessed
to have our
sisters.
anniversary. What year is this?
This will be 5 years with this book club. Yes, it will.
Yes, this will be 5 years of our book club, and we always have so much fun. We love the sisterhood, we love the fellowship, the food, of course, and we just want to bring that energy and that synergy here to our corner of the internet. Okay, so you ready
Let's
to
get
get into
started.
this book?
I'm ready, girl. I'm ready.
Yes. So first of all, we do have to say rest in peace to Eric Jerome Dickey.
Yes.
He has passed on. Thankfully, he left a rich treasure of work behind for us to remember him by, and so that his voice and his legacy can live on. Okay, so
I
his Friends and Lovers was first released in 1997. I think the hardback, and then it was published again in 1998 and 2000. And Friends and Lovers is a story of friends and lovers. So the main characters in the book are two groups of friends. We have Shelby and Deborah, and then we have male friends Leonard and Tyrell. So in the book, they're in their late 20s and they live in LA and they're just navigating love and friendship and dating. And in the opening sequences of the book, I'm trying to think because you have my copy of the book,
do.
but we start with Tyrell, if I'm remembering correctly. And Tyrell is, a young brother. He got it going on. He works in the internet world in a place called Daniel Steele, and he's been dating a woman. But that woman is married with children. Okay. So she tells him, I'm getting back with my husband. And he knew she was married, but I think he was hopeful that maybe there could be something with them, but she said no, and her name was Lisa.
Yeah, but the thing is, she said she was getting back with her husband, but she still wanted to keep the little going on as
You
well.
know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
You
Crazy,
know what
girl.
I'm saying? So, yeah, that was interesting, and then we meet Shelby, and I love Shelby's opening sequence in the book
Me
because she's a
too.
flight attendant, and she has just gotten off her flight, and she's going to her apartment that she stays at with her boyfriend, Bryce?
Bryce.
Bryce, I think. Yeah, her boyfriend Bryce, and Bryce is a gym bro, and I think she
Gym
met him
bro.
at the
What's a gym bro?
child, the men who engage in the gym, you know what I'm saying? They
Uh,
take their physical
Gym
exercise
bro.
seriously.
I
Yeah,
got you. A
gym bro.
gym
So he's
bro.
always at the gym. I think she met
Okay.
him at the gym.
I
So
got you.
she gets home and he has an attitude. He's acting, inconsiderate as he always is. It doesn't seem like it's a great relationship. And she goes to lay down on her new mattress because she loves her mattress, right? She just got a new one. And we find out a little later why that was so important to her. And she starts sniffing and she smells perfume,
Uh-oh.
fragrances, and their
Uh-uh.
perfume,
No, ma'am.
okay?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
she's child, so she like, "Hold up, wait a minute." So, she goes to the shower, and then she knows she's like Inspector Gadget. She knows, like, how hair kinda floats up to the ceiling, so she's pulling hair, and the hair is very, very fine, and the texture is not her texture, okay? So, she takes her investigation down to the where the security guard, the little booth, because people have to, I guess, sign in and sign out visitors, and she finds out that little miss, I believe her name was Nancy from the gym, been over there entertaining her man in her bed, right? So she has to go, right? And she breaks up with him. And what I love is that she kind of goes and just climbs in bed with her friend Deborah. And
Yeah.
Deborah's like, she knows it's Shelby,
So who's
Shelby.
Deborah? So tell us a little bit about Deborah.
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about Deborah. So she climbs in the bed with Deborah, and that's, I think, the first time we're introduced to Deborah, if I remember correctly. So Deborah in the book, she's a nurse, and I think she's really responsible. She's religious. She's kinda like not a mother figure, but she's kinda like the more stable figure.
Yes, absolutely.
Shelby's a little more wild, more
Yes.
free-spirited. She's
Yeah.
emotional, she's
Yeah.
impulsive, and
She's a little
Deborah kinda
spitfire.
keeps her
Yeah,
grounded. Yeah, and I like that. I love her
I
personality.
do too.
And Deborah keeps her grounded, right? And so they just have a really, really beautiful friendship, and we see that early on. And I believe, have a situation later where they're going to a jazz festival or something like that, and they run into Leonard. So
Mhm,
Leonard is Tyrell's friend. He's a comedian, and he also
mhm.
works for like an IT database company or something like that on the side. And he sees Deborah, and he's like, you know what? She's the one. She's
Yeah.
my type,
Yep.
and they like start dating. And Tyrell and Shelby start out as Leonard, I'm trying to get with Deborah, kinda, help me out with her friend type situation. But what's really beautiful is how Shelby and Tyrell meet, and you see, like, that love story of them forming a bond and starting to fall in love.
Yep.
And the juxtaposition of Shelby and Tyrell's relationship is really interesting because they get together very quickly,
Yes. They have a
Yeah.
lot of physical attraction.
Yeah, they have a lot of physical attraction. They get together very quickly. It's kinda hot and heavy, and Deborah and Leonard, on the other hand, take things a little bit slower when it comes to the physical, but they do get engaged and get married, I think within
Yeah.
9 months.
Yes.
Yeah, so the marriage happened pretty quickly, and things were moving along pretty beautifully, but dun, dun, dun,
Mm.
Shelby and Tyrell had a pregnancy scare, and I guess all those underlying issues that they had with, Shelby, her fear. What would you wanna say, Shelby? Maybe
You mean when
she
she got
definitely had fears.
Yeah. I mean, that was the right word. She was fearful of being rejected, I think.
Yeah, maybe she had an
Even
abandonment
though
fear?
she knew that he loved her, I think that she
Mhm,
thought that he wasn't ready to take the next
mhm,
step with her.
okay.
Because she
Yeah,
saw
maybe he wouldn't
Leonard
be
and
there for her.
she saw Leonard and she saw, Deborah taking that next step and moving
Mhm,
on, but she
mhm.
didn't Tyrell never approached her in that sense, so I think she was afraid that, maybe she might scare him off, thinking that she was trying to push him into making another decision and taking another step. That's kinda like how I took it.
Yeah, that's true, and I feel that when she told him about her pregnancy scare, I think she wanted him to say in the book, she wanted him to say something like, "Let's
She
get
did.
married," because
She
she was
did.
thinking about her mom who and how her mom died without a ring on her finger.
Yeah.
So that was really, really important to her, I guess, to not end up like her mom. And
Yeah.
so I think she just let her fear take over, and she really and looking back on this as an adult, I can clearly see how she sabotaged the relationship
Yes.
with that situation. So, they ended up breaking up and they moved to different parts of the state, right?
Yes.
And what brought
Yes.
them back together, spoiler alert, what happened, Della?
Leonard was unalived in a car accident. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Some girl ran the light, and hit him and, he died. So it
Yeah,
was very
that was
sad.
so sad. That was so sad, and I remember the first time I read the book, I was so like, "Oh my goodness,
Me
not
too.
Leonard."
Me
He didn't
too.
get a point of view chapter, which might have been a
No, he
clue that
didn't.
something will happen with him. Yeah, because the
Yeah.
other characters did.
Yes.
And then also in rereading, I saw where Eric Jerome Dickey foreshadowed that only one of them, Tyrell or Leonard, would be a pallbearer at the other one's funeral. So he did foreshadow it was going to happen, but still, it was so sad. And what makes it even more poignant to me was the fact that Deborah was pregnant.
Yes.
So, of course, Shelby and Tyrell came back and they rallied for her and they were there for her through that difficult time and they were there for each other, which led to them actually reigniting their
Well,
relationship.
but that is yep, and but when Deborah went to San Diego, she did end up hooking up with a guy there,
You mean
like a
Shelby?
rebound. I'm sorry, Shelby. Yeah, and she it was a rebound relationship where she met Richard,
Oh, I forgot about him,
and
child.
girl, how could you forget about Richard? And Richard was pretty possessive, maybe not so
Yeah.
much at first, but he got to be that to that point, and so then when she went to go and support Deborah for the passing of Leonard, he decided he
Mm.
wanted to come with her, and then that turned into a whole big scene that she
Mhm.
didn't want, and then it also brought to light that she didn't really love him, she still had
Mhm.
a love for Tyrell,
Even though she was engaged to him.
even though
And
she
I
was
think
engaged to him, yes.
yes, and I think some of the really, really good scenes that came out of that was Shelby's interaction with Richard's mom, because his mom was, like, horrible, she was a
She was
pill, right?
horrible.
And she was like, "Oh, you don't eat pork? Who don't eat pork?" Because Shelby
I don't
was
eat
a
pork.
vegan, and Shelby was actually really, really health conscious. She was a runner, she was very fit, and she also got engaged to Richard, I think, as a knee-jerk reaction to
Yes,
everything that happened with Tyrell, because this is a man that wants to marry you, who's offering you the ring.
yes,
But we saw that Richard was not all he was cracked up to be when she was first planning to go to the funeral to support Deborah on her own, and Richard just kinda pops up and brings
yeah,
his mama over there, and he's like,
yeah,
"Well, I'm coming too," and she
yeah,
was like, "Well, I can't say what I wanna say in front of your mama," but you
yeah,
knew that,
yeah.
And before that, when she first told him she was going, instead of being sympathetic to her situation and her loss, he was trying to put hickeys on her neck.
Yes, he was.
You
He
remember
was,
that?
because he
And
knew
he was
Tyrell was gonna be there.
exactly,
This
and he
guy had a
knew
really very jealous and insecurities.
yeah,
So all of that came to light when they went out there, for Leonard's funeral.
yeah, yeah, and of course, Richard went the way of Richard.
Yeah.
What do you call that person? That the person who's kinda like that's not the one you want, like, they're good on
Mhm.
paper people,
Mhm.
but I think there's a in movie tropes, in literature, I'm sure there's a name for that type of person.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, when Shelby moved, she moved to San Diego, and Tyrell had moved to San Francisco, so they really did
that's
go
right.
to opposite ends of the state of California, practically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you wanna get into our likes and dislikes in regards to the book?
When it comes to the book, I loved the way that Eric Jerome Dickey brought into the in perspective the different types of relationships. You
Mhm,
had Shelby and Tyrell's, who was very, very physical, and they
mhm,
kind of moved a little faster. But then you also had Deborah and you had Leonard, who were a little bit slower. And then they, ended up getting married. Doesn't mean one is better than the other, but he was able to give us 2 perspectives of 2 different relationships, and I really like that he brought us that, and then he also when he came and he brought Richard into it, he brought another type of relationship that shows someone who is possessive and who's
mhm.
jealous and, how that can be, almost dangerous to a relationship, so I
Yeah.
did like the way he brought in different perspectives of relationships into the book.
I love that too. And then I also love just the romance and that feeling of meeting someone and falling
Yeah.
in love. And I felt like he really captured that. And I really love the scene where the night that Shelby and Tyrell first met and they
Mhm.
had went out dancing to like this reggae spot and afterwards
Yes.
they were hanging around outside. And so they had this conversation and where she asked him, well, what do you call it? He had, I guess, a dimple
Yes.
and he said, "I like my dimple, I don't call my dimple anything," and she put her finger in his dimple, and she was like, "I'm gonna call it Shelby's Cavern."
Yeah. I love
And
that.
I love the dialogue, I love it, I like the romance, it gave me all the feels. I love that the, characters were nuanced and they were complex and they were layered, and he made sure they had a backstory that kinda explained their behavior. With Shelby, the way she grew up with her mom being a single mom and her dad not really being present, he got into how they struggled, how she didn't have a mattress growing up,
Right.
like, she
Right.
didn't have a bed.
Right.
So, when Bryce cheated her in her bed, like, that's why it hurts so badly.
Right.
But, I mean, I just love the way he developed the characters, and the pacing was really good, and there was some really funny moments, like
Yeah.
when Tyrell, had his transitional team of, you know, big dairy-eared women to
Yeah.
replace Shelby,
One after
and
another.
he decided he's gonna settle down with one, and then he found out that she brought a gift, a burning sensation she brought to his life that he
Sure.
didn't
Sure.
appreciate, and he had to go down to her dad's church to, you know,
Yeah.
I
That was
kinda put on the show, and he started shouting and everything when she was up doing church announcements because she was avoiding him because she know what she
yes.
did, you
Yeah.
know?
That was yeah.
Yeah, so I loved it. I loved the comedy and the funny
Yeah.
moments, and I felt
Yeah.
that the book did stand the test of time on a reread.
I actually agree with
Yeah,
you on that.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, in terms of dislikes, maybe I'm just, me and Eric Jerome Dickey, I felt like he was my author, so for this one, I nothing comes to me off the top of my head in terms of dislikes. What about you?
I don't think there was anything that I disliked about it either.
Mhm.
Again, I like the way he approached everything and the different types of careers. Just and then the
Yeah.
dialogue was really
It
good. I
was
mean,
smart. The dialogue was
yeah,
smart.
yeah, yeah. So from way, even way back then when he first wrote the book, it was very relevant then, and it's still very relevant now.
That's so true.
Yeah,
So are we ready to rate?
yeah. That's
Okay.
right. So let's look at our rating guide that we have here. And we can get ready to rate our book. All right, so let's talk about this book. So we have our rating system here at Margins to Movies. For our book rating system, our lowest rating would be Can It Fly? Which means it just was not for me. The next one would be you probably can use it to make a nice little book wreath with it. Put it on the list, to be read list. That's where it should definitely go. Your must read is definitely a good story. You should certainly read it. Don't miss this story. And then, of course, the spotlight pick. This is the one you want to highlight on your shelf. So, Nita, how do you rate Friends and Lovers by Eric
Ooh,
and Jerome Dickey?
I was going for a rating, and then I saw our rating system, and now I'm like, "Wait, I have to take this seriously. I have to do my due diligence." I mean, the book is very near and dear to my heart. I think that you can definitely read it over and over, which I think is what makes a spotlight pick, something you can read over and over. Um, and I think it's a must read and maybe in between a must read and a spotlight pick, you
Agree with
know?
that because it to
Yeah.
me is almost a classic for us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
almost
for
a
us.
classic for us
Yeah.
because, growing up, you know, young, and whenever we grew up, it was good to have something that we could read that we felt like we could relate to. And it's still, like I said, relatable. And I feel like for us, it's like a classic. So definitely something that you would not want to get rid of, would not want to take off your shelf, and definitely would want to read it.
Yeah, and I still have my old version. You have it with the yellow paper, the yellow pages. I mean, yeah, but it's like Yellow Page because that's the one I've had for years and years and years. And also, what you just said made me think about it in terms of kind of like what you're saying about representation. Because for me, Shelby was one of I mean, there might have been others, I don't really remember, but just a dark skinned woman in literature who was celebrated as being beautiful and
Yes.
sexy and all of
Yes.
that. Like to me,
Absolutely.
she just meant a lot to me, you
Absolutely.
know? So I really connected with that character, and I really just loved her.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you ready to talk about the movie?
Yes. Let's talk about the
Well, let
movie.
me clarify. Made for TV movie, I feel like it aired on Lifetime. It aired when was that? Was that,
I believe it
a
was in
couple months
November.
ago? November? Oh, okay. I think November 15th.
Yeah. So
I
this
think
was a
so.
this was a lifetime adaptation of Eric Jerome's Dickey's Friends and Lovers. So we are now going to move into um, the new movie synopsis and how we're going to compare the two between the book and the movie. So I'll go ahead and get started and I'll talk about the characters that were cast for
Yes?
the
Okay.
movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing we had for Shelby, we had
Okay.
so I'll start with the left. That's
Okay.
Shelby on the left. And she is known now, her real name is Simone Messick.
Mhm.
In the middle for as Deborah, we have Naturi Naughton.
Yes,
Standing up,
definitely know her.
yes, we do know her. Standing behind Deborah is Leonard, and he's played by Kendrick Sampson.
Oh,
And then next to Deborah or Naturi is Ronrico Lee. I don't think I've ever seen him anything before, but he was the one who played Tyrell.
no. Ronrico Lee, you remember Sister Sister?
Yes.
I believe he was Tia's love interest or boyfriend in Sister Sister. That was the first time I saw him, and he's done a lot of things after that. I think something he was in recently was that, Kelly Rowland. What do you
Yes,
think
he is.
about the casting decisions?
So, as far as my thoughts, as far as casting them in those roles, I don't think that Simone Messick hit the spot with Shelby's character from the book. In the book, Shelby was definitely a spitfire. And I
Mhm.
thought in the movie, the way that Simone brought her to life on screen was more, I don't want to say calm, but she didn't have that spitfire personality that she had in the book. And I don't know if that was directing or if that was her or, how she wanted to read. Because my mind thought, "Did they even read the book?" That's what I thought. Did they read the book?
We gotta talk about it. You know what? But I'm like, that was one thing I'm looking at my notes, and that's one thing I know that I said that Shelby's personality is muted.
Yes,
Shelby was
muted.
very vibrant, and you didn't
Yes,
really know what would pop out of her mouth, and she really
exactly,
spoke her mind, and she was very bold, and she just
exactly,
had that energy to where you know why Tyrell loved her. You know why he
exactly.
fell in love with her. You know what I'm saying? Her energy, her enthusiasm, her sparkle. And I felt that in the movie, they really kinda lost that.
They did.
Yeah,
I
she wasn't giving Shelby energy to me, and then it
exactly.
was at some points, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like, if I was Tyra, I wouldn't even bother with her. I wouldn't even wanna talk to her because the bitterness was palpable, you know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I agree.
The sister was bitter.
Yeah, she was.
She was
She was.
bitter, and then the
And
book,
there's a difference.
they didn't go through all that to get together in the book, you know?
Right, because there's a difference in coming across as bitter and
Mhm.
coming across as a spitfire, like she
Yeah,
was in the book. In
yeah.
the book, she was just said what she was gonna say. Like you said, you never knew it was gonna come out of her mouth. She was
Mhm.
just who she was.
Yeah.
But they took that away in the casting of and again, I don't know if it was how they wanted it to be or if it
Directed,
was just
the
the character.
writing.
I don't know. But
Yeah,
again, I said, "Did they even read this book and figure out who how her character was?" I was like, "I don't know."
yeah, and I feel like the writing, the dialogue was weak.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the
Oh my
dialogue, I
goodness.
felt like the dialogue in the book, like, you just have to read it. Jerome Dickey, sometimes he has some of he sounds almost poetic, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
Very
exactly.
nuanced, very sophisticated dialogue, and I felt like it was really watered down here, and it was
Yes,
very on the nose, you know what I'm
yes,
saying? And I felt like they lost some of that subtlety that comes with his writing, and I felt like the source material was so good, even though it's like almost 30 years old, you know, the source material was still good, and you coulda updated what need to be updated without losing the essence of what made the book special and beloved in the first place.
absolutely, absolutely. And then my other casting miss to me was Leonard. I
Mm,
just Kendrick Sampson, he just, and again, I don't know if this was how the director wanted it or if this was just what he wanted to bring to the screen.
yeah,
But he just didn't come across as the way Leonard was in the book. Leonard was
yeah,
almost shined and he was, he was loved by everyone and he just commanded a room to me. And I didn't pick that up from Leonard in the movie. He didn't command the room. Yeah, he was a comedian and he was up there and he was okay, but it didn't come across as the same way that Leonard did in the book where he literally just took everybody's attention to brought everybody's attention to him. So I didn't pick up on that. So that to me was another
yeah.
casting miss.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I think writing and direction, like you're saying, plays into it as well. But I
Yes.
feel that, yeah. one thing that really was cringy for me is the the stand-up. I was like, "Am I supposed to be laughing?"
Exactly,
I don't know who wrote that stand-up
exactly.
routine.
It
All
was
the
not
stand-up
funny,
routines, none of them were funny. Now,
none of them.
granted, I must say when I was reading the book, I wasn't laughing out loud at the comedy routines either, but Leonard definitely had more of a presence than he had here. I don't know about the let's getting deeper into the actual differences. I didn't like some of the choices they made when it comes to that dating subplot, the whole like male versus female gender wars that Tyrell and Shelby
Yes,
had going on.
yes,
And then we had Deborah who was looking for a rich man and getting the
yes.
dating coach. And then Leonard had that Jasmine girl who,
Was his
was there out
friend.
of nowhere and came
Yes.
back at the end out of
Who was
nowhere.
she?
I feel like all that dating stuff, I mean, they coulda kept all of that. You didn't
I
no, no,
agree.
no, no, we didn't need to do all that. Because I feel like one thing the book did well is it dealt with, like, real issues, like, Leonard was struggling in the industry, with
Yes,
industry politics and comedians stealing his jokes, and sometimes he was really heavy with all that he was dealing with, and
yes.
then I remember that Deborah was struggling with she wasn't a doctor
She
in the
wasn't a
book, she was
doctor.
a nurse.
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
a
and
nurse.
she had a patient who was very, very young and who was pregnant, which I felt like foreshadowed what was gonna happen with, Shelby later with in terms of the unplanned pregnancy or whatever. But and I mean, they talked about, like, societal issues. Now, the gender wars, yeah, maybe it's a societal thing or dating being hard, but I feel like it's so cliche, it's so done, they didn't even have to go there, you know?
I agree. I agree. I agree with you. I guess maybe they tried to bring in that whole dating stuff from, that's kind of, I don't know if it's still popular right now, the dating apps and all that kind of stuff. So I guess they were trying to make it modernized.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That was not necessary. You didn't need to bring that in.
Yeah, and it took
So
away from the love stories too.
it did.
That's why when reading the book, we really fell in love with Shelby and Tyrell and Lyndon and Deborah. But
Yeah,
they definitely, Eric Jerome Dickey focused, I feel like, more on Shelby and Tyrell's relationship. But we really got a chance to see how that relationship develop and grow, and we really bonded with those characters and fell in love with their love. And I felt
absolutely.
that it took so long. It took longer for them to get together. I mean, part one, I was beside myself, you know what I'm saying? I was watching it and I was like you, like, had did you read the book?
I
Like,
was
where are you
like, this is
coming from with these
awful.
nonsensical changes? And
Exactly.
don't even get me started on jogging up a hill with the thickest lace front wigs I ever saw in my life. The lace fronts were thick. Do you hear me?
Yeah,
You
I
laying
agree.
in bed with these lace fronts on with no silk pillowcases, you know what I'm saying? No bonnet. I'm just like, "Come on now, who is running up a hill in that thick lace front?" And what's crazy is that don't get me started. What's crazy is that the movie spanned 3 years and Shelby, that same thick lace front they had on her head the
Same
whole
one.
movie. And in the book, Shelby, now,
She had
you know
a
what I'm
sh
saying? She would
yeah,
wear her hair in
yes,
ponytails a lot.
yes.
I mean, just the way they even dressed the Shelby character,
I
I was like,
agree with you
"Honey,
on that.
those clothes," I was like, "You know what? What are we doing? Why are we doing what we're doing?
I said the
And what are
same
we
thing. Where
doing?"
did these clothes come from? Matter of fact, I even
Oh
wrote
my
that down. What
god.
is
You
wrong with
remember when
these
she was
clothes?
outside the club and Richard pulled up and he was like, "I like that skirt." I was like, "You do?
I said the same thing. I was like, "Really?
Why?"
Okay."
And that's nothing on the actress, you know what I'm saying? She's not in the wardrobe department, but
Beautiful
that
girl. She's a
wardrobe,
beautiful,
yeah, she's beautiful.
beautiful.
The wardrobe,
Yeah,
they really missed the mark.
I
Now with the
agree.
acting, look, I root for Naturi Naughton. I've been rooting for her ever since it was a KFC incident when we broke up. I have been rooting for
What?
her since they was throwing chicken at her. Girl, yes, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, when she left her group, they was throwing chicken at her, fried chicken. And so I have rooted for her ever since, but I had to be honest that the acting
I agree. I
her
agree.
acting was,
I agree. But it wasn't just
maybe.
her. But it wasn't just her. To me,
Yeah.
the one who did the best acting to me was Tyrell. Tyrell was
Yes.
the best one as far as
Ron Rico Lee
yes. Yes.
is the better actor, I would
Yes.
say, and
Yes.
he's the more seasoned actor, and I felt that like I said, he was a believable Tyrell to me, and I
Absolutely.
honestly reflected on it, I'm like, "This man probably did the best what he could with that script and that budget."
But I mean, the rest of them, I just it just wasn't it took away from the love of the book. Like you're saying, the dialogue, the whole feeling you got in the book was, was
Yeah,
just so did the movie. I even wrote it down. I said, this movie is like a drag. It was hard for me to go to
it
part
was
two.
torture. It
It
was
was
torture.
hard to go to part 2. I was like, "Why did they do I have to watch part 2?" But I was like, I guess I gotta push myself," but I did not wanna watch
And
part 2 was
listen,
enough for me.
look, look. In my notes, Della, I really what those notes at? I wrote, "This is torture." Where did I write that?
And I wrote,
Oh,
this is a
Leonard was
drag.
teaching the children, about budgeting or whatever, and I said, "This is torture." And then that whole scene with Deborah and Richard, so why did they have Richard date Deborah first?
I
And
don't
then
know.
why did she leave him on the date?
What
Why?
what
So,
was that?
it didn't even do anything that
No.
bad for her
I
to sneak out of that date and leave.
Exactly, that was dumb. All she had to do was go in there and say, "Richard, I had a nice evening." Finish off their date, say, "It was nice meeting you," and go on about your business. But I don't even know why they even brought that into the movie, like you said. And
I don't
then to
either.
have turn around and that's who is end up gonna marry Shelby.
Yeah.
Was that?
Why would you even introduce him? I know the actors, maybe they gotta get paid or whatever or whatnot. You trying to get your money's worth out of the actor? But I'm just like, those of you who did not watch the TV series, and we watched it for you, don't worry, you don't have to watch it.
Don't watch it.
But I will say, okay, so Leonard and Deborah went on a date earlier, like a errands date, hanging out. And then Leonard had asked Deborah, like, would you like to get together later tonight? And she said, no, I have an event. She had a date, right? So she went on her date. He was the perfect man. Okay. He had the money,
Paper.
six
On
feet,
paper.
making six figures, probably had a six pack. Okay. Had everything she ever thought she wanted, but she was in the bathroom talking to some stranger about why she's not happy. And she was with Leonard and the lady, gave her motivational words so she can run up out of there and go stalk Leonard. Of course, Leonard happens to be kissing that Jasmine lady that he dated earlier who was heckling him when he was doing his comedy show. I'm
Right.
like,
But that's
you
his friend. What?
that's his friend now.
That's his friend.
I'm like, but I'm glad they got past that quickly. I did
Me
feel
too.
like one thing I did not like, I feel like they created conflicts that they did not need to create. So the
Absolutely.
whole Shelby, I don't think Shelby would have been celibate. Book Shelby would not have been celibate. She would not have
Absolutely
sworn off
not.
men. So that whole conflict to try to keep her and Tyrell for getting together quicker, to me, it was ridiculous. Book Deborah would not have been so caught up on Leonard's money or having a man that makes so much money that she would have, came across the way that they had her acting in the beginning. Deborah
Absolutely.
was very supportive and she wasn't about money like that. And I just feel like they could have been more true to the characters. Okay.
Absolutely.
But anything else we need to discuss before we get into our rating of the movie?
Well, no. Yeah, again, I went through my little comments that I thought there were some parts I was like, boy, Shelby looks so homely. That is just nothing like in the book. And I was like, what is going on with these clothes? And I was just like, I don't understand how that got. And I guess, like you said, maybe it's budget. I don't know, but it lost a whole lot from the book for me. That's pretty much the things that just really messed it up for me.
Yeah, I thought that a couple other things I didn't mention was the car fight, Shelby and Tyrell after the first date. They had some, intimate moments, okay?
Yes.
A love scene. And afterwards, she was freaking out and going crazy. And I said, this car fight, I said, this is a level of toxicity
Yes.
and foolishness where I couldn't see 2 people having this level of conflict this early on
I
with
agree.
her, like,
I agree.
pushing him away and, just not wanting to be in a relationship and so on and so forth. I don't think any person, man or woman, would have, wanted to continue with her because, like I said
Absolutely.
before, she was so
Thought she was
bitter and so
crazy.
off-putting, and she didn't have the spark and, the wittiness and
Right.
charm of Shelby in the book. It was totally lost. I was like,
Right.
Tyrell would not be dealing with all this with her. And
Right.
then also, I thought it was a very ridiculous scene where now I thought the reception scene was nice.
Mm,
Naturi nodding, her dress was nice. The
mm.
set and everything looked nice, like they had a
Yep.
little budget. Okay, it was giving a little bit of a taste of budget. Okay,
Yes.
but then for her to go to the table with Tyrell and Shelby and the other people, and
Yeah.
you this your wedding day, and
Right.
she sit on Leonard lap and say, "So, what are you guys doing for vacation?"
Me, they coming to see the Temptations. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. You
Right.
It's your wedding. Don't nobody
I
care what
know.
these people going on
Right.
vacation.
Right.
I was like, this
Right.
dialogue is
Yeah.
so bad. I was
Yeah,
just yeah, and
unnecessary,
so
bad. I don't know where they were trying to go with it. I just stick to the book as close as you can for especially
yeah,
in this instance. Stick to the
yeah,
book
this is just yeah, the
because they lost
pacing was
a
off.
lot. Yeah, because the like I said, the book was just kept me going, kept me wanting to read
Yeah,
it, and like you said, that movie was like, "Do I have to watch part 2?"
yeah, it was dragging. It
No.
was hard. It was a hard watch. The
So if it
pacing was
wasn't for
off
margins to
and
movies, girl, I
everything.
wouldn't have watched part 2.
Oh, yeah. But wait, hold on, let's do our rating. If there's
Okay,
nothing
let's
else,
do
let's
our
do our
rating.
rating. I think the people know what we're gonna say.
I think they probably do too. Let me find this ratings sheet.
Oh, this is not a surprise, child, but we could you know what? And, respect to the actors and, directors and everyone involved, and just
Absolutely,
because we don't
absolutely,
love something doesn't mean it's not lovable. If you
absolutely,
wanna check it out, definitely check it out. But we also
absolutely,
watched it for you. So if you did not wanna check it out, just, stay tuned here and watch our reviews.
absolutely. So let's talk about our margins to movies movie
Yeah, go
rating
ahead.
guide that we have.
Okay, so for our movie ratings, we thought about in terms of, what do you need when you watching a good movie? You need snacks, you need food, right? So we're rating things from big purse meaning, child, this movie right here, do not give the movie theater any of your money. Stop at a Five Below, a Dollar Tree, or Walmart and pick up some snacks, some dollar snacks on the way there. Do not give them your funds. Now,
Sneak that into the movie.
I mean, sneak that in the big purse, right?
Yes,
Okay. Now, if it's a little bit better, you can spend a little bit of coin, maybe get some candy at the concession stand. Don't give them too much, right? Not for this one. Now, splurge a little, that is a movie that has value, right? It's good. We might not watch it again, you know, but it was good. It's not like you waste your money. Splurge a little. Get yourself a little kitty like popcorn snack pack situation.
that's
Now
right.
go big. That's a good movie. Like we
Yes,
enjoyed it. Go big. Get the large popcorn. Get the large soda. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
then for like those really, really amazing movies, you're gonna watch again. You're gonna tell everyone to watch them. You might go watch it again in the theater. It's so good. Get yourself a tray so that you can get a plethora of snacks, of goodies, of nachos, of hot dogs, of quesadillas, a little martini. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they got going on, go ahead and get all of that, because they did their big one with this movie. All right.
Yes.
So, with that being said, Della, what we giving this movie? I'm very curious to hear what you have to say, actually.
Girl, I got my purse ready. I'm getting ready to
Okay.
stop by that store on Five and Below, and whatever I can find that's $5 and $5 and under. That's how much
Okay.
Imma spend, and I don't wanna spend no extra time. I want my popcorn. I don't want nothing that's gonna last longer. I wanted to eat it, get it, and get on out of there. That was just
Yeah.
not for me. Not for me at all.
100%. And I would love to keep the people in suspense, but there is no suspense. There is
Yeah,
none. I
no.
mean, for me to struggle to even finish it, and we didn't say this, but we were so excited when this TV series we found out about it. We were
Absolutely.
like, "Oh, we have to watch it. We have to watch it." And then we watched that first one and we didn't not even go back. We went and had to pay money to watch part 2 to bring it to y'all so y'all don't have
Exactly.
to unless you want to, you
Exactly.
know what I'm saying? So I
Exactly.
would say definitely the big purse, okay? It's a big purse situation.
And I hate to do that
I
too,
won't
but
watch
I
it
just
again.
how I felt. After reading the book, that
Yeah,
was just how I felt.
yeah, and
So,
I don't
Nita,
know if
what's
Eric
your
Jerome Dickey would approve.
yeah,
I
so
don't
what's
know.
your
But
final
go ahead.
verdict? What is your final verdict? So, do you think read it, watch it, or both? What's your final verdict?
Imma have to say 100% read it. If you haven't read it, you have to read it, don't watch it. What about you?
I am with you on there. I say read it, don't worry about watching it. I mean, maybe somebody who hasn't read the book may have a different perspective of the movie,
That's true. That's
you
true.
know,
If you never
maybe
read the book, you might
yeah,
really like that movie.
you might like the movie, but if
Yeah.
you've read the book, you're not gonna like the movie. Because it's just different. That's just our opinion, of course,
Yeah, just our opinion.
but
Allegedly.
yeah, you obviously have the right to do what you wanna do.
Yes, very good. Well, thank you for joining us today here at Margins to Movies podcast. Please follow us wherever you stream podcasts, be it Spotify or Apple or wherever you stream podcasts. Please follow us. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. We would love to have you join our family of unapologetic bookworms. And until next time, I'm signing off. This is Nita Key.
And I'm Della B.
And we'll see you next time right here on Margin
Margin
to
to
Movies
Movies. Take care,
podcast.
guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.